and welcome to the David Tomsic Show, fighting tyranny one day at a time. It's April 3rd, friends, and it's a day after Donald Trump's Liberation Day. And I can tell you this and report this to you, honestly, that the only thing liberated in America was money from our wallets. Now, let's look at the stock market. It's a little after 3 here in the afternoon in western Pennsylvania. The S&P down 4.2%. Dow down 3.4%. The NASDAQ down 5.4%. The Russell 2000 down 6.1%. Gold's down. Oil's down. And pretty much everybody in America is down. But I digress with that one. So today I wanted to get together with you and just talk. I think a lot of folks are missing the point here with my videos. Listen, I'm here giving you information, and pretty darn good information, I think. Don't know, but I think people have amnesia, maybe short and long-term amnesia, probably both. Now, this is probably because a lot of those folks who really support Donald Trump listen to news agencies that give them what they want to hear. Fox News, we know. Epoch News or Times, whatever it's called. Don't forget Newsmax. Could be the worst network I've ever seen in my life. Sean Hannity and those people on their right-wing radio shows, you know who they are. And they tell you what you want to hear. They spin it. But the reality is these things are really hard to spin. Right off the bat, here's one of my first points. At the end of his 4-year term, Donald Trump left with the lowest approval rating in history. You got that right. Now here's my problem here. People told me that Donald Trump lost because the voting machines were rigged. Millions of people were voting 3 and 4 times. Dead people, people from Mars, you name it. Now, granted, maybe some people did vote, and I'm sure every year people that go to vote, there might be issues. I'm sure there is. But to that extent, no. Now, remember, Fox News lost a lawsuit. They pretty much accused the voting machine manufacturer of rigging the voting machines. They lost a $789 billion lawsuit, biggest in history, because they couldn't prove it. Others went out on a limb and tried to say these things too, but none of them could ever prove it. So maybe it wasn't that there's this conspiracy theory over election machines, voting machines. Maybe it's the fact that, I'll speak slowly, he had the lowest approval rating in history. Should I say that slower? No. That tells me that no one voted for him because they didn't like him. Not because the voting machines were rigged. But I digress on that. Trump fueled division in America. We do know this. We experienced an uptick in hate crimes across the nation. Murder went up under Donald Trump, the largest single-year increase in homicides. That was in 2020. Now, granted, that was the COVID year, so who knows what was really going on, maybe, but still, it's under his watch. He tells us how he has control of everything and he can prevent things just by speaking. Well, he still hit a record here, and he wants to be always at the top of the list. Well, he's at the top of this list too, and many others. Gun sales broke records under Trump. There is another record. Mass shootings skyrocketed under Trump after the increase in firearm sales. Is there a correlation there, maybe? Now, Trump allied himself with the Proud Boys. And this is a violent hate group that helped orchestrate the January 6th insurrection, which many people still tell me was all Antifa. But most of the people that were there were white, most of them were men, and of course, many of these were these Proud Boys who were behind it all, making the surge into the Capitol building. I digress there as well. Let's go to COVID. Trump's fake COVID pandemic responses were ridiculous. He said it was no problem. It was going to be gone by April because it heats up in April and the disease can't survive in the heat, except pretty much all the Northeast and probably half the states. It's not going to get warm till summer, not April. So that was pretty nonsensical. Again, he also said it'll go away on its own. It will disappear like a miracle. Meanwhile, he was quoted behind the scenes as saying he knew it was a deadly virus. Why the two responses? Because you see, nothing bad happens under his watch. It was all good. It was going to go away. Don't worry about it. Of course, how many hundreds of thousands of people died because of that weak response? So he also promoted fake cures. This is a good one. Remember when he said to inject bleach or some kind of disinfectant into your blood? A sidebar, a correlation. Poison control centers across the nation received a flood of emergency phone calls. Why would that be, Donald? Wow. Trump presided over a loss of 2.9 million American jobs, worst in history. Again, now he can be at the top of that list. Trump billed Secret Service over $1 million for staying at his hotels while they were protecting him. Responsible for the longest government shutdown in history as he tried to force Congress to pay for his border wall. A border wall that he said Mexico was going to pay for. A tip, Mexico said they weren't going to pay for it, and they had a special word they used before, we're not going to pay for it. You can fill that blank in yourself. Trump separated more than 5,000 children from their parents at the border with no plan to reunite them. Under Trump, the nation's debt increased by 40%, more than any time in history. There's another first, again, at the top of the list. He loves that, being at the top of that list. Tariffs. In spite of objections from world-renowned economists, Trump placed tariffs on nearly every country in the world, saying it would liberate America. I don't really need to go too far down that rabbit hole, do I? Trump illegally deported people without a hearing. Now, he had people taken off the streets, said they were all MS-13. I've talked about this yesterday. Maybe some were, maybe they all were. But nobody knows this because there was no hearing. They put them on a plane and deported them to El Salvador. Meanwhile, the next one, Trump disobeyed the orders of a federal judge who told him to turn around and bring the planes back. They refused. Judges don't have any authority over the president, but they have authority over the Constitution, which the president's sworn to uphold. Trump people, you see there's a problem here. You see there's a problem here. GDP in the first quarter, just ended March 31st, is projected to be anywhere from a negative 2.8% to a negative 3.8%. That's bad. Now, this is the same president that basically blamed Joe Biden for having low GDP, 2.2 or 2.3%, I think it was. And now he has one that's worse than just about anybody going back 15, 20 years. So why is he not scolding himself? No, because he has a plan. Remember, it's 12-dimensional chess. Unemployment is rising. Prices are rising. Interest rates will stay high. The Federal Reserve right now will not reduce interest rates because of the chaotic nature of the economy right now. With prices going up, inflation is going up. Now, global economies are now facing uncertainty, and that hurts them. Division in this country is growing. Now, Democrats have won key seats in Republican-held districts, which is key, which shows that there are people turning away from the Republican Party, from the radical Republican Party. Elon Musk especially got devastated in a defeat in Wisconsin. Why? Because Elon Musk spent time and money in Wisconsin trying to make sure the Republican candidate won. They didn't. They lost big time. This is just a few. I could have did 50. But it isn't the point that I do 50. It really isn't. Because I'm still going to get downvoted. I'm still going to get long or short comments with ridiculous paragraphs about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and all these crazy things. Here we are, 2025, friends. Donald Trump is president. It wasn't just that Donald Trump won the election. He made promises. Day one promises. Day one. How about that war in Ukraine? He made friends with Putin. Now, Putin's screwing him. Of course Putin's screwing him. Putin used him like a tool. Why? Because that's what they do. They know he's a sucker. He wanted to be like Vladimir Putin. He wanted his respect. Vladimir Putin's an oligarch. You know, let's be honest. That's what Trump wants to be. He wants to be that king oligarch, controlling things. But guess what? He's not controlling the economy because, let's be honest, as a person who studied economics, it's very hard to control the economy. There's things that the Federal Reserve and Congress can do, but that doesn't mean they'll work. Federal Reserve can print money. They can raise interest rates, lower interest rates. But when the economy is being put into a tailspin by 25% tariffs on the world, and they tariff us back and forth, when you make enemies of everybody that was your friend, those of you that support Donald Trump, do you think that's the right thing to do? Whether they're perfect or not. Our allies aren't perfect to us, but America's still the country, the glue that's supposed to hold the global order together. Instead, America is now the country making it fall apart. So friends, I want to ask those of you who maybe are balancing this out to say, listen, it's time to be the resistance. It's time to stand up for something, because if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And too many people, on the right especially, have fallen for the lies of Donald Trump, for the manipulation of Donald Trump. Fell for it, fell for his promises, fell for his schemes to fix everything. But instead, what you're finding is it's tearing the country apart. This great divide in our country has to be mended. It has to be healed. And it won't be under Donald Trump. And sadly, too many people from the right just can't seem to understand that. Hey, listen, it's all the time I have. God bless you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Don't forget to go over to our other sister channel, Nights Around the Fire. Got that link in the description box. Please go watch our video, like, subscribe to that, wait for the next one. And I'm glad that you tuned in today. I'll see you next time right here on the David Tomsic Show.